We are in a permanent war situation. The war on terror is ongoing. And that is, by design, because it is a cover for imperial acquisition of more and more resources and control. Again, going back to what's happening now is not entirely new in American history. In 1882, there was the Chinese Exclusion Act. The Chinese in the 1880s were the Latin American, Central Americans of today. They were demonized, they were stigmatized, they were humiliated, they were insulted, and there was, all kinds of immigration, deportations of them. There have been waves of this in U.S. history over the decades. Woodrow Wilson, who's admired by many as a great liberal democratic president from 1912 to 1920, he said this: "There are citizens of the United States who have poured the poison of disloyalty into the very arteries of our national life. Such creatures," he said, "of disloyalty and anarchy must be crushed out." And then the Secretary of State around that same period, Elihu Root, he was also senator from New York, he said this in 1917: "There are men, I guess you should say men and women, walking about the streets of this city, New York, tonight, who ought to be taken out at sunrise tomorrow and shot. There are some newspapers published in this city every day, the editors of which deserve conviction and execution for treason." So there is, a history of demonization, of attacking the media, attacking the free press. You have the, great prevaricator calling people like me the enemy of the people. Enemy of the people is right out of Stalin and Goebbels' mouths. That's the kind of language that was used in those totalitarian dictatorships. And now it's happening here with very few people actually standing up and resisting. And I'm part of that, media galaxy. And by the way, you can hear alternative radio on KSFR every Saturday morning at 9, and on KUNM also on Saturdays from 6 to 7. Now we're going to have a little commercial break, which is always the oddest and most bizarre part of any presentation I give. I talked about that Martin Luther King speech in New York at Riverside Church called Beyond Vietnam. Is our CD here about that. Talking about resistance is a talk about Fannie Lou Hamer. It's a great program. She was a dirt-poor cotton farmer, a sharecropper from Mississippi, who stood up against Lyndon Johnson and the National Democratic Party in 1964. I happened to be in Atlantic City protesting at the time and to seat the Mississippi Democratic Freedom Party against the party of James Eastland, against the party of Strom Thurmond, against the Southern segregationists, and a remarkable life story of someone with very few advantages who was able to do so much. I did an interview in Hunter College a couple of months ago with Benjamin Heck on how Hitler happened. Again, it's what is remarkable about the rise of Nazism is the context of the Weimar Republic, which saw a flourishing of intellectual and artistic and scientific life which unparalleled anywhere in the world at the time. I'm talking about Fritz Lang, making films, Metropolis, for example, Thomas Mann, Walter Gropius of the Bauhaus. 70 or 80%, I forget the exact figure, of all scientific papers in the 1920s were written in German. It was the language of higher education. There was Kurt Weill, there was Lotte Lenya, there was Bertolt Brecht and his great poetry. And on the backs of that rose the Nazi Party. So this is an interview I'm very proud of. It's going to be published in the Sun magazine in the coming months, but you can get the 1-hour CD. Then I did an interview in Montezuma, New Mexico, at the World College there. United World College with Arjun Singh Sethi. He's a remarkable, terrific Indian, South Asian scholar, and he talks about the politics of hate. And then I have Robin Kelly, the German Revolution. Anyway, long story short, 5 alternative radio CDs, if you got them from me in Boulder, it'd be like $80. Here, they're $20. It's stealing. So please steal. I have to do my best New York huckster kind of imitation. There are free copies of alternative radio catalogs. And then I have something which connects a lot to what I'm talking about this evening. It's a pre-publication order form to a book that I did with Edward Said that had gone out of print because the publisher went bankrupt. It's called Culture and Resistance. It'll be out in a couple of weeks if you sign up for it, and here, and then I can mail it to you as soon as the book comes out. Culture and Resistance by one of the great scholar activists of this period. Died in 2003, but still, if you read his words, like the words of Martin Luther King Jr., they ring true and have tremendous resonance today. And again, going back to optimism, pessimism, our optimism must be rooted in reality and not in wishful thinking. And Rebecca Solnit, who's a terrific writer, great writer actually, she says, an optimist thinks everything will be fine no matter what, and that justifies doing nothing. But hopefulness means that we don't know what's going to happen, and in that uncertainty, there is room to act. There's always room to act. The final curtain has not come down yet on humanity or on us. And as Leonard Cohen said in Anthem, ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light goes in. So we have to float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, as Muhammad Ali said. We have to find those little openings and pour energy into there and make them as wide as possible, and then to connect with others as well. And one thing, of course, to overcome is the narcissism of small differences. Again, a quote from that guy Marx. How we eliminate connecting with other people for small reasons, like they eat meat, they drive a Dodge Ram, they don't bike to work, they don't walk, they voted for Nader, or they voted for Hillary, or they didn't vote. Anyway, I'm not going to talk to you. Well, it's like that Martin Niemöller poem. Pretty soon there's nobody left to talk to. I've eliminated you, there's nobody left. Finding common ground and working in unity to advance a progressive agenda is something. And this doesn't mean selling out and embracing, white supremacists or neo-Nazis. Of course not. It's about finding, kindred spirits. And most people want affordable health care. This is not a left-wing issue. You ask anyone if they want affordable health care. Ask people in rural areas of this state or in Colorado, as I have done, where clinics and emergency rooms have closed. They have to go to Albuquerque to get any kind of medical attention. They have to go to Denver to get any kind of medical attention because of the shrinking of the public sector. Same thing with schools being consolidated, money's being cut, teachers being squeezed. I mean, right now there's a major teacher action in Los Angeles. Again, it has a lot to do with income inequality, but also the fact that charter schools are draining a lot of the federal budget that should be going to public schools. Despair is an indulgent and despicable bourgeois affectation. You must not allow it. So says Tauseno, John Nichols, in The Magic Journey. And Galeano, Eduardo Galeano, who was in Santa Fe a couple of times, he won a Lannan Award, great writer, humanist, journalist. And again, his book, Open Veins of Latin America, which actually I don't have with me, but I have in Boulder, multiple copies. Hint. He said he saw a graffiti once in Latin America. It said, "Save despair for better times." And that should be our guidance there, of saving that. When we turn this Titanic around, if we can turn it around, because the iceberg is right in front of it. It's interesting how this metaphor is being used because the climate is warming and the seas are rising and the icebergs are melting, yet we use this iceberg and a Titanic metaphor as an example of what we're going through. Maybe Moby Dick and Ahab is more to the point. The white, this is my interpretation, the white whale being Mother Nature, being purity, and Ahab being rapacious capitalism, which has to destroy the whale, that seeks vengeance on the whale because it had wounded Ahab. So you have this monomaniacal drive to kill this beautiful animal. And we are in the 6th stage of extinction. Read Elizabeth Colbert's book, The 6th Extinction. We are in that moment right now. This is not something in 2130. This is the lives of you and your children and your grandchildren. That's what's happening to the planet right now. And unless that ship is turned around, whether it's the Pequod or if it's the Titanic, there is going to be hell to pay for the planet. And we've seen all kinds of examples of what can happen in terms of the firestorms, in terms of the floods, the increasing intensity, hurricanes, tornadoes, all of these things happening right in front of our eyes. What will future generations say of this generation if we just looked away and said, we let it happen? Or I didn't know what was going on, or I was too busy, or I was, involved. And we all have excellent excuses, My mother was dying, I had to take care of her. I was working 3 jobs. Yes, all of those things are true. But finding a way, as Gandhi did in India, as King did in this country, as other great freedom fighters have done, finding a way to insert yourself into that space and making it a little bit wider.